huge and they're sting crazy.
Joe Biden go admit all his fuck ups on the news either.
So here's another option.
What
if he doesn't invite the convicted child molester, regardless of whatever history he has, to his theme park that's marketed towards children? That just seems like
Well, I would agree with that. I don't disagree with that. I don't think he should have ever done that shit.
Yeah,
I wouldn't fucking say that. Wouldn't sit well with me either.
And then when other people out there, my friend Mark Stoney there was like, hey, we don't want this guy here when our kids are here, and they got pushed back from the ministry on that. Is that good? I mean, no, Mark Stoney and Cindy came to him and said, hey, we don't want, there's people here with children. We understand you're friends with this guy. He has convictions. Whether he did it or not doesn't matter. People don't want their children here. You know, whether Kent believes he did it or not doesn't matter, right? You agree with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
He's still bringing the baggage of still bringing the baggage of being convicted with him when he comes up there, or when he goes to stay there. So the people not wanting him around their kids makes sense to me, and people leaving and saying, "Hey, this is happening here," sensible. Absolutely. And if that's what gets you shut down, then that's what gets you shut down.
It still is also a breach of an order of protection because he is a convicted child molester. He has to stay a certain distance away from anything that is involving children.
Yes,
yep, and rightfully the mom so. Let him, for somehow he got a kid and took him to Dinosaur Adventureland.
The mum can't. The mother can't allow him to take children to other locations. He has been convicted of a crime against children. He is not allowed, regardless of what the parents say. It doesn't matter what the parents say. If the parents say, hey, you can have... It still doesn't get around the fact that he's not allowed to take these children anywhere, much less to Dinosaur Adventureland and sleep in the same bed with the kids by himself.
I totally agree. Parents should not allow their kids to go to these institutions where these known pedophiles are. I totally agree. No parent should ever allow their kid into any church. Ever. Ever.
Let your son go. Let your son go with your boss to Dinosaur Adventureland.
Well, I am being a bit extreme because this is a very extreme statement to make. Yeah. Because it's the same analogy, right? Because I don't think that any children or any parent should ever let their child, let's say, into a Catholic monastery at the least, or a cathedral, right? Because we know that there's so many pedophiles there, right? It doesn't, but just because I think those parents shouldn't allow their children to take let their children go to these Catholic cathedrals doesn't take the onus away from the priests that are actually molesting the children or the institution that is covering it up, right? So just because this parent made the wrong decision of trusting Dinosaur Adventureland does not take away anything from the fact that the people at Dinosaur Adventureland allowed this to happen.
No, they're fighting over it right now, whether they have a chomo on the grounds or not.
The only reason they're fighting is because Kent is stubborn and isn't willing to really acquiesce to them.
No, the reason they're fighting is because there are people calling Dinosaur Adventureland. It's like, hey, is that chomo going to be there? Because I want to bring the family down. They have an internal conflict about this already, and Kent Hovind knows the guy, so they're friends, and he doesn't see a problem with it. The kid in question was brought there by the guy. Because his mom, the mom worked for him at some point, and he said, "Hey, can I take your son to Dinosaur Adventureland? Right, it's a really fun place, and it's out of state. They're from North Carolina or something like that."
Yep.
But this is parental shit, man. This is a parental issue. All right,
it's a criminal issue. It's a criminal issue.
You let me take it. If I said, "Hey, Rage, can I take your daughter to the park?"
No, I don't know you like that.
I would never let you touch. I would never let you fucking take my daughter anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know you.
Nothing against you. I'm not accusing. I don't think anything happened. But I'm a fucking parent, and I have to.
But if I did, so if I did allow you to take my kid to the park or whatever, and you chose to do something to my child, while I would feel guilty for allowing that situation to happen, it doesn't take away from the fact that you're the one that harmed my child, and I'd probably coming to hunt you down.
No, it'd be something like, "Hey, Praise, can I tell you or Rage? Can I
those are fighting words.
like if I go like, hey, I want to take your daughter to the park to play with my daughter, right? That's a little bit more like okay than just hey, I'm gonna take your daughter out of state.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that happens. Like,
that's what but that's the case here. It's not
so
like
some parents that I haven't met. My kid is friends with them at school. Yeah, I don't know these people.
Yeah,
I'm assuming, based on the hopefully on the numbers game that she's going to be safe and nothing's going to happen. But that's the risk that you take in a parent in this modern world, right? Like, and especially when we're finding out that this behavior is much more prominent than we ever would have suspected. Like if you look at any of the numbers, most women in this country have been sexually harassed, sexually molested. This happens a lot more, but it's kind of taboo to talk about it, right? Like, but no, I mean, as a parent, you've got to hope that things are you're never gonna know everything about everybody, that without a doubt. Like, but at the same time, when you have a person of authority, so like as a parent, if my kid's school were to put my daughter in that situation where like they knew this person has these convictions, but yet they still hired this person, put my daughter in that class, and then something happens, you're damn right, I'm going to hold the school and the administration responsible for that. They made that decision. That's their decision, and they should be held responsible for it.
No, but that's what like we understand this as fathers, right? I have a daughter, you have a daughter, so you understand that like there is a risk. Like I could say like, hey, praise or rage, I'm gonna can I take your daughter
to the park?
There's a
risk with everything.
I'm gonna take your daughter to the park to play with my daughter. Right? No, but like I say, like, hey, can I take your daughter to the park to play with my daughter? Right? There's still a risk, but you go, well, he has a daughter.
Yeah, but the analogy falls down here.
We have the same.
Because you're talking about a person with multiple convictions. That's the thing. Like, that would be.
And we're talking about
let's clarify something. He was her boss, right?
Right.
Yes.
His boss said, hey, my friend has a theme park down in Alabama. Let me take your kids sometime. And she's like, oh, I'll think about it. And he, as he's working with her, maybe shows her pictures of the place and everything, eventually convinces her, yeah, let me take your kids to this theme, or your kid to this theme park. And eventually she's like, yeah, my boss seems like a good guy. I'm going to let him take my kid to this theme park. We don't have much money. My kid don't get to go on vacations much. This is a nice trip for them. I can't go. I got to work,
But did she know about Chris Jones's background? Like his convictions.
That is on her. Taylor's not wrong. There's an onus on the mother for checking the background of the person that you're sending your kids off with. But I could imagine that most people think that the person that they're working for, I don't know.
I thought it was clear
that there's a social contract between you and that person that you are a safe person to be around. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. And real quick, Piton. I know Piton was trying to jump in there. But for me, it would be a red flag. Like if my boss wants to take my kid somewhere, I'm like, why do you want to take my kid? Like, no, I mean, I'm going to come with you at the very least. Like, I don't know you like that. Unless I did have some kind of personal relationship where I knew that my boss personally. I don't know. Like to me, that would be a red flag. So I do agree. Like there's some onus on the parents here, but it doesn't take away any of the onus on Kent Hovind, who not only denied the charges, but comes up with some concatenary fucking bullshit thing about how the New World Order set this dude up. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
This reminds me so much of a guy I knew that was a YouTuber. His name, I'm not going to say his full name. His first name was Steve, and he had a convicted rapist on his channel. And the people in the audience saying, "Hey, this guy's a rapist." No, but platforming him, and he's like, "No, he's not a rapist. I know he's not."
No, but that's different. That's where he fucking said that shit was consensual. See, Steve McRae's on another boat than Kent Hovind. That guy tried to dehumanize the victims and shit like that.
So you think Steve McRae's worse than Kent Hovind?
Yes.
Oh boy, wow. That's interesting to unpack there.
I cut ties with Steve McRae shortly before that, and that was like that. There's no going back from that. that guy, Worrell Anderson or whatever, he was on like True Crime TV. I watched him.
Well, yeah, I know. There's no way he's not guilty. I know. I've seen the story.
I guess
but
the
he
other
went up and tried to
thing,
justify it. He tried to say that the victims were consensual. That's where we draw the line. Ken Hovind's not saying like, well, the kid wanted to go in the bed with him.
No, but Ken Hovind's saying, I know my friend has these convictions. I let him come to my theme park where kids are. I let him bring a kid to my place with a kid, and I let them have their own
room
place, their own room together. Let them sleep in the same bed overnight. What was going to happen?
And plus, he sort of said, "Oh, the guy wasn't guilty of the things they accused him of. All he did was play strip poker with some boys." And it's like, is that not bad? Like, where are you coming from that you think playing strip poker with underage boys is not a horrible, awful? That is enough to get you absolutely convicted for child abuse. Let's face it, that is not right. And Hovind just seems fine with it. He just seems like, there was only strip poker with some. Are you serious? Like, what the hell?
Everybody got the crosshairs on Kent Hovind because he's the guy. When in reality, we have a mother who's a shitty mother.
Well, you don't know she's a
it's negligent. No, it's negligent. It's negligent.
Yeah, she made a bad decision. I don't think you can say that. But you can't sit here and pretend to know this person and say, well,
I don't know what the mother knew and what the mother didn't know. And I don't know what her relationship with Chris Jones was, whether he did some kind of confidence ploy on her or had known her for a long time and she had no idea about his past. I have no way to evaluate that. And if I try, it's pure speculation. But even if she did know his background, then yes, she's absolutely got some culpability in there. But excusing somebody and basically downplaying their convictions and their sentences for their basically their pedophilia is terrible. This is a guy who's got a massive audience, and he's trying to convince the families at his park that the horrible guy that he wants on his property isn't guilty of these things he's been found guilty for. And speaking of guilty, Kent himself has been found guilty of domestic violence against Cindy Lincoln. Well, let's not forget that. He's appealing, but he was found guilty. Let's not just brush this under the rug like Kent's only got one thing that he's doing over there. I'm really sorry, but he's got a multitude of things that he's absolutely shocking behavior for. I mean, I thought we were going to talk about why he was kicked off YouTube, and I think why he was kicked off YouTube, he should be. I want to talk to Praise and say, why are you defending this behavior? Yeah. Because I've heard a couple of reasons. I've heard one reason is that he bought subs. And if that's the case, then he deserves everything he gets. That's basically defrauding the company. And this entire talk about free speech and stuff, it's a company. Like, you're not in a public square here. You're on YouTube. It's entirely up to them what they allow on their channel and what they don't.
They don't understand the difference between free speech and private corporations. They think that this is the public square. And
this is not the public square.
It's a private market.
There seems to be a double standard because these same people are upset about Disney World or Disneyland or whatever hiring pedophiles and will rail all day. But then when it comes to one of the heroes of the fundies, now we're going to kind of give it a pass and try and cover it up. But I come out with the same venom that they have for Disney.
I brought that up myself. There is this hypocrisy here because a lot of these same people, and I'm not positive, but I think I can remember even Praise flipping out. Like when the movie Cuties dropped, it was Christian heads exploding everywhere. Never even watched the movie. Now the movie there is very problematic, but it's not child pornography, But when an actual man does something on Dinosaur Adventureland, it's a completely different story. Well, he's a Christian and that was a long time ago. And, Kent thought he was just doing a good thing, and it's always either Chris Jones manipulated him or Kent was doing something noble and not
right. They're extending grace.
Pedophile. Yeah.
Yeah, they're extending grace to Kent, but they wouldn't do that to the executives at Disney at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I gave an honest opinion on Cuties, and they said that I was supporting pedophilia, and I was like, no, just watch the movie. It's problematic, but it fucked me up as a dad, not because of the dances these girls were doing, but because the movie's about the social media that our children are exposed to and the ignorance that parents keep themselves in with that. Right? That's what the movie's about. but because I gave that honest opinion and that honest review of the movie, I'm supporting pedophilia. No, motherfucker.
It's badly presented cultural commentary, right? I mean,
it might be the reason why
the movie still affects me. Like I'm paranoid as fuck about the social media that my daughters are using.
And probably rightly so.
Kent Hovind isn't the Chomo. He just had a Chomo at Dinosaur Adventureland. So Kent Hovind.
He seems greedy. It seems like
it's a witch hunt.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, if we're talking about why it's been kicked off of YouTube, that's got nothing to do with anything Chris Jones has done, why it's been kicked off of YouTube. The other reason that I heard that he may have been kicked off YouTube is because he sort of delved into calling on death for transsexuals lately. And he sort of said, but I'm not the one to do it because I'm not the government. But he still articulated that thought. And that violates Discord's terms of service, and rightly so. I'm sure that if I got on live and sort of called for the death of Christians, I'd be kicked off YouTube too, and rightly so, because you don't do that. Like, what is wrong with this man that he goes onto YouTube and basically calls for the death of any group of people? Let's face it, like, it doesn't matter whether you say, well, I'm not going to do it because I'm not the government. How dare you get on there and call for that kind of action?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And
Can I say something real quick, Rage, before I leave?
Oh, yeah, please go for it.
Yeah, it's just about when you played that clip from that phone call with Kent, the thing that I thought was most disturbing is the defense of Dino Land above all things. Mm-hmm. That it didn't happen on our premises, even though, it's an employee, and I had this knowledge that he was potentially a creep. But it was just this, hey, well, it didn't happen on our property, so why are we even talking about it? And I think that's greedy.
Wait, since we're up in the drama, I got a question for Bree.
Oh goodness,
Bree, I heard you the other night.
What I
call me something, and I had to look it up.
What was the word? I don't know.
I had a
by the way, Bree.
A masochist.
A masochist.
A masochist.
Masochist.
Someone that enjoys feeling pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
you said that about me.
That's why you come in here and argue with Knock. Yeah, I think so. I think you like Knock.
Okay, I looked it up and I thought it was some sexual thing, and I was like, "Oh, Bree, please." Okay,
it can be.
All right.
Yeah, I guess it can be, but that's not usually the context.
I think that's how some of the other people took it, and I was like, "Oh no."